Welcome everyone to a special stream. We thought, we were going to pre-record this show. We're here today with obviously Lexa, my co-host. Say hello, Lex. And we have two wonderful.
You can't get rid of me that easy.
And we have two wonderful guests here with us from the Pantheon Times. We have Bones. Say hello.
Hello.
And we have Belthound with us. Say hello.
Hello.
So we're here to interview these two guys. If you don't know them, you'll get to know them during the show. And we'll put out all the links to all their Twitter feeds, website, podcasts, etc., etc., etc. And I think we'll just go and kick it off. What do you think?
Sounds good.
And I have a quick problem. Give me a second.
That's okay.
I need to quickly set up
my...
I need to set up my chat. My chat is not relaying, so let me go and copy that URL and bang that into chat. So we can see the chat. Obviously an update is set up. There we go. Now we have chat with us. So, Lex, do you want to go and start it off with these two gentlemen?
Sure thing. So, for those of you that are watching, we're going to do this. I'm going to ask 4 questions. You're going to ask 4. We're just going to go back and forth. First question is going to be, please tell us a bit about your gaming backgrounds.
All right, I'll start off here. So, my name's Belthound again. Basically, I kind of started, not really a young age. I had the regular Nintendo for a while. I started off with that, and then I kind of had the Sega Genesis, I believe it was, and then it kind of all started off like into the deep end with the 64, The Legend of Zelda, the Ocarina of Time, some sports games, and then GoldenEye 007, probably one of the greatest first-person shooters, I think. Yes,
it wasn't bad.
Golden Gun in the Bunker, Proximity Mines, all the fun stuff. And then I came across a buddy of mine. His brother came across a game called Tibia for the PC. I still play it off and on from time to time. The game came out back in, 97, 90, 98, something like that. I can't remember exactly. It still comes out with regular updates and all that good stuff too. That kind of got me into the MMO scene, if you want to call that an MMO. And then kind of played Final Fantasy 14, Elder Scrolls Online, stuff like that. Played WoW for a very brief time. Kind of lost interest. It kind of got very boring actually after a little while. And then Bonin kind of introduced me to Pantheon / I introduced him to Pantheon. And that's kind of where it is now.
Nice.
Sounds like another old school gamer.
Yeah. Quite a few years now. 29, so
Doesn't
since
that make
my
you
early
feel
childhood. What's that?
Doesn't that make you feel old when you think about that?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, him just saying he's 29 makes me feel old, so yeah.
So what about you? What about you, Bone?
All right, so I started off with the Atari 2600, worked my way up through consoles. The only console I never owned was a Super Nintendo. I don't know why. I just never owned one. I owned the Sega. I owned the Dreamcast. I owned everything. I've always loved games. I used to play D&D. When I was younger, I got introduced into Dungeons and Dragons and Dragonlance books from a neighbor that lived kind of kitty corner from my house. And I always have a thing towards wizards. We'll get to that later, but when I came across EverQuest, I was like, oh, I got to see what this is about. And, this is before any YouTube. This is before, anything to give you any kind of review. You had to actually read, and nobody reads anymore. It's all about videos. But I played tons of MMOs since then, but nothing has scratched that EQ itch. And I think Pantheon might have its claws out to scratch that itch for me. I didn't get real high level in EverQuest. I never rated. It was just pretty much me and a buddy of mine. I got to maybe level 34, maybe 40, somewhere in there. And it was more of just a getaway, being a whole different mindset when you're playing. Nothing mattered but what was the screen, what was on the screen, and your adventures, wander off and you're around a bunch of level 1s and 2s, and you take a right corner around a mountain, and all of a sudden there's level 50s right there laughing at you that chase you down and beat you down. So that's pretty much my gaming background. I play a lot of first-person shooters also. And the games I'm into now is Gloria Victis and PlayerUnknown's Battleground, or PUBG.
Okay.
That's about it.
Yep.
Very cool. So, what got you guys interested in Pantheon in the first place?
Well, a lot of it was that EverQuest feel. You hear the ding, you hear the buff noise with the shield spinning around. It's just that feeling, the noises. It's, if the video game could smell, you would smell it. It's there. And I like that it's slowed down. You're not tumbling around. You're not doing these dodge moves. You're not, doing jumping puzzles that I know of yet. But I mean, you'll be climbing. I did see that. But I'd like that it's a little bit slowed down. I love tab targeting. I even tab targeted when I played Guild Wars 2, Star Wars, all of them. I still, tab targeted, even though Guild Wars 2 had that, what was it? Some kind of like first person, like shooter type gaming thing, whatever. I don't know what it was called.
They had a combat mode or something like that.
Combat mode, yeah. I never even messed with it. I didn't like it. I just kept with tab targeting.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I'm kind of in the same boat. Being where I played a lot of Tibia off and on, and I'm actually started that back up again. That was kind of like a hardcore game. Death penalty was real. You died, you lost pretty much everything, equipment-wise. You lost, I don't even know how much experience and skill points and all that stuff. And so it was punishing and challenging, and it was one of those games where you really wanted to be careful. And it's gotten so far away from that now that it's basically easy mode now. You have blessings, so you lose like no experience, no skills. You don't lose your equipment no more, hardly ever, all that crap. And then Pantheon, I'm hoping, the difficulty level is there. From what I've seen, what they're shooting for, I'm hoping that'll just do it for scratch that itch, like Bowen said, for the difficulty level and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So.
Oh, absolutely. And it sounds like a lot of people out there can absolutely relate to both of you. I mean, heck, I know we're like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when it comes to Pantheon, what has you most excited?
I'm actually really looking forward to like the acclimation system, the climate changes and stuff like that. You don't really see that a lot nowadays. You see it in single player games and stuff like that, but that's something totally different. In MMO terms, that's something kind of fairly new, anyways, from my experience, anyways. So that really kind of interests me, between snow, altitude, and stuff like that. So as long as it's done right, as long as it's done right, anyways.
Yeah, that's for sure. And that's, same thing with the perception system. That's what I'm looking. That's what got me excited too when they came out with that. I mean, both these things I think are pretty cool because no other MMO has anything like this. The acclimation system. I don't know. Have you guys played the new Legend of Zelda yet?
Nope.
I'm sorry to say I have not.
Negative.
Okay, so I broke down and I spent $360 on a video game, and they have a weather system in that. If you get real high in the mountains, your guy starts shaking. Link starts shaking. I said Zelda. I'm sorry. Link starts shaking, and you can see the cold breath. Same thing with the heat. He starts sweating. You have a little temperature gauge in the corner. When it's really hot, it starts smoking like it's not working. Those are really cool extra things that they don't have to put in the game, but it makes the game that much better, in my opinion. The perception system, I'm really looking forward to that. I will definitely be, they're a seeker, right? Or
Keeper.
What are they called? The keeper. I will definitely be one. Whatever class I make, I will be one because I don't want to miss anything. That's one of my main things. I don't want to miss anything. And I want to be able to be the one that, hey, you're the keeper. What do we do now? And I want to be able to lead people.
Yeah, to that too. I tend to be like a completionist almost. Like in Guild Wars 2, I always had to like complete the map 100% before I could move on. I'd be like 4 levels past the recommended for that map, and I'm still there because I have to all the waypoints, all the point of interest, and all that stuff. So with a perception system, hopefully it's along the same line.
Oh yeah, and I got to admit that's a very hard question that I asked, because if it was asked to either Yanela or myself, we'd probably sit silently for a good 10 minutes going, what am I most excited about? There's so many things.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
both. I mean, pretty much both of those things we're both, pretty much equally excited about. But we just picked one each to talk about.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Now, some people out there probably aren't going to be familiar with what podcasts are, because it was like from the dawn of the iPod era. So, for those who are unfamiliar with podcasts, how would they go about listening to your guys' show?
Okay, so we have a bunch of different ways that you can listen to the show. And one way that I kind of tell people, like, because I'll bump into people and they'll hear that I have a podcast, and I'm like, what's a podcast? So I pretty much tell them it's a recorded radio show that you can download from the internet. That's the easiest way to explain it, and that's the only way I know how to explain it. You can download it off of iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Cast, and Google Play, and also from our Buzzsprout feed. Any of those that I mentioned, they're super easy to go to the website, download the program to use. You can download them on your phone. If you have an iPhone, obviously you're going to use iTunes. You can use Pocket Casts. That's what I used when I had my iPhone. Now I have a Note 5, but and all the other ones actually have apps where I know you guys remember, and I'm not sure if Belthound remembers, back in 1999 when you wanted something downloaded, you had to download it, then implement the patch into it. Nothing was ever plug and play, and you couldn't just download everything. Yeah.
Bone, did you just call us old?
I know you're old. I'm old. I know you're old.
All I know is I feel ancient now.
So, but yeah, I mean, the younger generation have no idea the struggles we went through. But yeah, walking up hills both ways to school. But
oh jeez.
Pretty much, that's how you go to listening to our show. And if you just go to those sites and type in the Pantheon Times, usually all just one word, you'll be able to find us.
Nice. So, tell us how you came about or came up with the idea of the Pantheon Times.
All right, so pretty much, I talked to Belthound about it when we started discussing about the game.
Yeah.
And originally I was going to do it solo, but I wanted somebody to bounce ideas off of. You guys have what, like 5 people, you know, off and on your show, roughly?
Yeah, around about.
Yeah. Usually I see you guys with just, you know, 2 hosts, but sometimes I see other people on there. I think, you know, eventually in the future we'll have like guests on, we'll do interviews. We'll probably give you guys an interview also, if you guys accept. And I went around the internet. Anytime a new game comes out or anything I want to learn about, I try to find it on a podcast because I drive around all day long, anywhere from 8 hours to 13 hours a day. So I have the ability to listen to podcasts all day long because I love listening. I'd rather hear a podcast than music because I've heard the same songs over and over and over again, where this way I learned something new while I'm driving. And there was nothing really to listen to for this game. You guys have your Twitch stream and your YouTube videos where, to me, that's more of a, you know, sit at your desk, you know, if you have double monitors or if you just have a single monitor or triple monitors like a few of our friends have. But, you know, you'll have that up on one monitor while you're doing something else so you can listen and watch you guys, you know, whereas when I'm driving, I wanted to listen to a podcast. I can always stream your guys's YouTube video to my phone, but then that starts eating data.
Right.
You know, but there was nothing else out there. So I want to learn stuff about, you know, the game. So I was like, well, one way to learn is do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, I've never really listened to many podcasts before. I never really had the opportunity to. Where I worked before, it was in a pretty noisy place. And then when I was home, I was, you know, doing whatever at home, playing games, hanging out with the family, whatever. So podcast was like something totally new for me. And then Bone asked me, and I was like, yeah, sure, why not? What the heck?
And it's not everyone's piece of cake as well, because it is hard to do because it's raw audio footage. You know, with us, for instance, we can bring up videos, imagery, and we can, you know, rely on we can outsource and grab, you know, data from the internet to bring our points across, etc. And with a podcast, it's very hard, especially to entertain people as well, for you know, a certain period of time before they lose interest.
Definitely. And the other, you know, this is my first podcast ever actually doing, so now I have even more respect for people that do podcasts as far as editing the show, putting it out on the internet. You know, I had to do a bunch of research. How do I make a podcast? How do I put it to the internet so everybody can hear it? You know, and then we had to wait until after our 3rd actual recorded episode, and we got stats and feedback for our podcast, and I was blown away by the different places around the world that heard our podcast. You know, we had people in Africa, you know, Australia. You know, it blows my mind that someone on the other side of the world has heard my voice, and, you know, I love it.
Had a few from Japan even.
Yeah,
that's the great thing about the internet. It kind of brings everyone together.
It sure does.
Like it or not.
Yeah.
So let's go and get into some of the Pantheon questions here. So what class and race are you likely to pick and why? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. It's still kind of a toss-up for the race for me. Kind of human has always been my like go-to race if I just start out in a game. But I think for the class, I'm thinking I really want to try out the Ranger. And then the Dialord kind of speaking to me a little bit. I don't know why. It just seems interesting to me for some reason. But Yeah, probably Ranger and Dire Lord. Probably going to be my first two that I try. And like I said, probably Human. And then I'll probably end up branching out from there. I think Bone and I are going to kind of start out, pick a race, and start out there so we can kind of stick together a little bit at first, anyways. So then we'll just kind of go from there.
Until I get tired of him.
Yeah, right.
So I'm kind of leaning towards either a wizard or a warrior. Every MMO I've ever played, I always started as a wizard. One thing nice with a warrior is you have a lot of more opportunity to see things because people always need tanks. Tanks and healers are primary classes to get you around any MMO world. And one thing nice too is that they're going to have 6 players on a team, which will be really nice because that'll give at least 3 DPS or an extra, hybrid healer DPS, to tag along,
Oh, yeah.
One of my big things was in World of Warcraft and EverQuest with the wizard was teleporting people places. I loved it. I loved it when people came up and asked me, "Can you send me here, there, or everywhere?" And I said yes. And I always had, my pockets open if you wanted to tip me to send you places. But yeah, and it'll really depend on for the race what race is best for wizard, which race is best for warrior, and also it all depends on what Belthound's kind of working with what I'm going to start with also, because like he said, we're going to try to work around being around the same area. Another thing I'm going to do is just probably make up a bunch of extra characters just so I can have my names that I want to have in game. That's always a thing I do too. When I play an MMO, I grab all my names that I can, and I just leave them dummies right there until I go to create the character I want, and then I delete that character and get my name.
Yeah, for me, I've always used Belthound. So for me, it's just tag Belthound and then tag whatever I can think of ahead of it. Yeah, it works out pretty well for me.
So those answers kind of leave us like on the fence with the next question.
Well, no, they don't. we got answers for those too.
Okay, so we combined the next two into one. What is your least favorite race and your least favorite class, and why?
Okay, so for me, my least favorite race is the halflings. And the least favorite class would be the summoner.
I'm gonna have to agree with him on halfling. I don't know why. I don't know if it's their short stature.
Will make a very certain type of personality to enjoy properly.
I think if I was gonna make a rogue, I probably would go halfling. Because I'd hope that they would have some kind of racial stats that would help them with pickpocketing if it's available, or picklocking if it's available, or if backstabbing actually matters, you know what I mean? Then I might pick a halfling if I was going to make a rogue, but that would be a big if.
Yeah, like I said, I'll agree with the halfling. I don't like the short stature. That just bugs me for some reason. Probably monk, I guess. Ooh. That kind of bugs me. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know. It's just it bugs me for some reason.
For all the people that we had on, and we've asked this question time and time again. I'm surprised nobody's saying Ranger. There's so much hatred for the Ranger out there.
In every game, nobody likes.
No. Ranger was said.
Nobody likes the archer. That? Nobody likes the bard. Nobody likes rain. I don't know why. I do.
So if you guys had to choose between one of the two, which one would you pick and why?
I would pick the halfling, and that's my short answer.
Oh.
I just thought I'd throw that one in there. Now, just to backtrack a touch, the summoner, the only reason why that's my least favorite class, all of them sound awesome. I would play all the classes, really. But summoner would probably be the bottom of that list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd probably go in the opposite direction. I'd probably try monk before I'd choose a freaking halfling.
There we have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's,
it.
I'm guessing,
So-
Lex. I'm guessing it's half and half.
Oh,
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's good. That was good on the fly.
Ah. So, in terms of mechanics, what are you guys most looking forward to?
I don't know, man. I kind of like the climbing thing. I like that. I like what they have going on with the climbing.
That is neat.
You don't see it too often. Pretty sure Bone and I we discussed it. We went back and forth. We both kind of agreed.
Yeah, the climbing you don't see in MMOs. Most of the time you're just jumping around, and then you miss that ledge or whatever, and then you fall about 100 feet, and then you look at your friends that are all the way at the top, and then you got to bounce your way back up top. The climbing just seems a little bit, maybe I can climb up there, maybe I can't. If I can't climb, can I jump?
It certainly does have potential, or at least leads to the imagination of something other than just going vertical is going to happen. Maybe you get kicked off. Maybe wind blows you off. Who knows?
Right.
It's going to be interesting to see what they do with it.
And then in the December stream with Co, when they were in Amber Fate, the raid dungeon, climbing is actually part of the raid. So it's not just like it's not just a mechanic. I mean, you know what I mean. It's not just part of outside of dungeons, outside of raids, whatever. They're actually including that in everything.
It's almost part of the challenge of the environment.
Right.
Yep.
Right, and that is definitely something, that's totally new. I mean, you have jumping from a small edge or whatnot, but nothing to that stature.
Oh yeah, I agree. So, if you guys could play Pantheon right now, what would you, or where would you go, and what would you do?
I think we kind of came to an agreement on this one also. I think what we would do is just head in just a direction and just explore and, come across a huge monster and then see that it will just destroy you and run away. If you can.
For some reason, I got this cartoon image where, the two knights walk off the screen and then they run away because there's a dragon following them.
Yep. I did that several times in EverQuest. I don't know how many times I would get lost and be SOL and just get ran down and beat down. And then in EverQuest, you had to go back and get your body, your corpse. And you were hoping that there wasn't anything that was around you that you could actually get your corpse back.
Yeah. To me, it's like Bowen said, we kind of came to the agreement of that. To me, it's more along the line of going in one direction and finding one area that looks interesting. Not so much just keep going, but finding that one area that okay, this looks really cool. Let's really look around this place, see what we can find. Not just sightseeing,
Right. See what kind of trouble you can get into.
Very much.
That's right up my alley.
Well, with the perception system, you're going to get in trouble.
Oh yeah. Well, I hope so.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, I think you will also do that.
Oh yeah. So, tell us about one of your most standout or funniest moments that you've had in a previous MMO.
For me, let's see. I have a poor memory. But one thing that really stands out for me is in Tibia. I've always for me, playing as long as I have, for 15 plus years or whatever, I've always bounced around. I've never had one character.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's no level cap, there's no skill cap. So for me, reaching level 100, where all my previous ones were, my highest level was like 56. For me to stick to one person and actually progress, that's probably my most standout. Now level 100 nowadays, that's like a fraction because there's like level 900s and crap out there now. Before getting level 20 was an accomplishment like when I first started. So from there to nowadays is like totally different.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like EverQuest. You got the 20. Yes. Oh, but
Yes,
there's level 50. I'm nothing.
Yeah.
For me, it was. I've always been a big fan of Arthas from World of Warcraft. Have you guys played World of Warcraft?
A bit.
Okay. Arthas, I love him. Just his whole story was awesome, and then actually fighting him as a boss in the Lich King expansion was awesome. I played World of Warcraft for about 7.5 years, and I just kind of fell off, with that. But fighting the Lich King and watching that end scene was pretty awesome.
Yeah. So, if you guys could pick 3 things to implement into Pantheon, what would they be and why?
Okay.
Ain't no easy questions here.
Progressive death penalty.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, in most MMOs, you die. You don't lose You don't lose anything. Maybe a little bit of experience, but that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go back into the same place, same mob, kill a bunch, maybe die again, and there's really no penalty. I kind of like the harshness of death. It really kind of adds that level of difficulty. So if you die, you go back, and you're trying to be careful, but something comes up, something happens, and you die, or you just kind of rush in there to get your body back, or whatever it may be, and then you die again without thinking. Just maybe not a severe death penalty from the first one, but maybe something a little bit more. Something to say, hey,
something to kind of make you consider your
step
actions.
step back and think a second before you run in there. You know what I mean?
I know that's a problem that VR has. They don't want to make their game too difficult where it turns people away, but they also want it to be where you remember that struggle, and then when you finally beat that mob, there's a sense of accomplishment that you actually did that,
Right.
And then let it be a boss or something, and then you're standing there with your chest out because you're like, yeah, we took him down.
But say it how
Right.
how you meant to say it. Where the old folk.
Oh, if we come back with the old folk again.
You guys
I'm
bring
old
up the
too.
Grades
age
aren't
thing.
coming out yet, are they?
I'm old. I'm 40. I'll be 42 in a couple months. I'm old too. But another thing I'd like them to implement is hell levels. Remember those?
Yep. For those of you not familiar in EverQuest, it was not part of the original design, but never got fixed, was the fact that when you get a certain level, you literally had to double the experience that you've earned from that point in your character. So it could take you, say, 3 days to get from level 45 to 46, but to get from 46 to 47 would take you like 2 weeks. That's
it started at level 9 to 10, and then also EverQuest did have a death penalty. So if you died, you lost experience. So then it was even longer that it took you to get to level 10. And I at the time I hated it. I did, but now I miss it. I love it now because it is a walk in the park now with MMOs. It's so easy to die and just get right back into it.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Go quest hub to quest hub and get 5 levels in between.
Another thing I want them to implement is epic weapon and full armor set quest that you are the only one that can complete. So
Yeah, once you petition for that one.
Once you start, let's say they have the level cap at 50. Let's just say, once you get to level 50, you're going to be bored. Well, this will give you something to do, and then they can have someone figure out how difficult it's going to be to get these weapons, how difficult it's going to be to get these, the chest piece, the gloves, the boots, whatever. I just would like to see something that once that's you working for it personally. You know what I mean? You can have a person help you. Let's say you got to fight Jormung the Great, and you can get close to beating him, but you can't beat him all the way. But he drops his heart, and you need his heart to complete the armor set, or a piece of the armor set. And I could have Belthound come with me and, shoot an arrow with his ranger or whatever, and then you'd get your piece, I'd like to see that.
Yeah, that's one thing that I actually really missed about my EverQuest was, from EverQuest career, was doing the epic quest. I mean, there was a wide variety that you could do step by step. Some were solo, some you needed a pal or a small group, some you needed a raid for. And it gave you a lot to shoot for, and it never was just, done the next day, well, until all the expansions happened, but still.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of have to agree with that too as well. But then for the third one, probably, I know VR is working on it. They're trying to make this how it is, but make soloing hard but not impossible. I know that's kind of what they're shooting for. They really can't take the solo out, because what if you only have 45 minutes during the day to go on, and you just want to go out and kill a few things? Well, if they make it too hard, then that kind of takes away from that, and then you have to do whatever or nothing at all. Because I know there's a lot of times where I only have like a half hour where I can jump on, and I want to go in, just get a little bit of experience or what have you.
Or mine something, or
right.
But if they chop a tree down or something.
Yeah.
Or
but if
something
they just make
to do while you're looking for group.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And if they just make it a little too hard, then that's just takes a little bit of that fun out of it.
Well, it's not so much that. It's the problem that most games are concentrated on one aspect of their core game, where everything's balanced and working, but the rest of it, be it crafting or harvesting or this or that, is basically pushed to the side. That you don't want to spend 45 minutes doing absolutely something worthless, pointless. That's what the big problem is.
Mm-hmm.
It's honestly, I do not envy VR on that aspect, because that's a lot of meetings, that's a lot of number crunching, that's a lot of testing to get it right. I'm not even gonna just assume it's easy. It's like, no, that is not easy.
And me and Belthound have already offered our services. We will help test anytime they want.
So we hope you've done your homework for these next two questions.
Okay.
What is your number one thing from the game tenants that stand out, and why?
This was, these next couple questions we came to an agreement on pretty much. For this one, an exception that with greater risk will come greater reward. I want you to have to work for that epic sword, that staff, that dagger, those boots, maybe a ring. I want it to mean something, and not something you can just bulldozer over, Zerg, get a Zerg group, plow through it, and just get it. And that's one of the biggest thing that stands out to both of us is we want to feel an accomplishment that you put forth. You spent hours getting to level 20 or whatever your level you are, and you're fighting this mob, that's a little bit higher than level 20, let's say, and you down him, and you're like, yes, we took a chance, we beat the monster, whatever it was, the one-eyed goblin, whatever, you know, and you get
That's a bad
some
one.
nice money. You get maybe his weapon, you know. That's what I like. That's what I want to see.
Okay.
See what he has
You
to
don't
put
know
up
how
with.
much willpower it's taking me not to go in a bad place.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm sorry, folks.
So with that as a follow-up, the next question then, as you're in agreement, what is your number one thing from the Pantheon difference that you want to see implemented the most?
Okay, so the atmosphere and the climate system is probably a big one for me. But also the situational gear is kind of rings to me as well. That kind of goes back to Tibia for me. Tibia, you have different armor sets for different creatures. You can get a magma set for like dragons, and you get less fire damage. That kind of goes with the atmospheric, the climate system, or however, with that they have going on too. So those two kind of go hand in hand to me.
Okay. What about you, Bone?
It would have to be the atmosphere and the climate system. I really do like that. I like that. You know, I wish they would have went in a little bit more depth with the stream they had on Thursday. As far as, and maybe you guys can answer this, maybe you know, but once you fill up those slots, can you then fill up the heat ones? You know what I mean? Or do you have to take the cold out and then put the heat in? You know what I mean?
Well, they talked about basically the higher tiers, where you'll basically have to do a mix of acclimation.
So maybe like your helmet would be cold and your chest would be hot.
For
And
instance,
okay.
They've mentioned that some environments will actually be, say, frigid and anaerobic, and then you would have to mix and match appropriately to your preference.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And it might also depend on what you have already that you've, gained for weapons or, armor pieces. You might have a helmet that protects you from cold and then a chest piece that protects you from the wind, or,
plus,
the juices, whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, plus there's the charms that they were talking about way back. We don't know anything about that.
And
right. Yeah.
Since Bone brought it up, we might as well let people know. Quick advertisement for Thursday. As you know, we're going to be streaming on Thursday the normal VoT Terminus show. Planned was a PvP discussion, but we thought because there was so much discussion on the acclimation system that we would actually veto the PvP for acclimation. So we'll be talking about acclimation on Thursday. So if you've got any ideas, any concerns or anything like that, you can post them on Discord or send us to them via Twitter that we can bring up and talk about on our show for Thursday.
That's cool.
Trust me, the UI has already been covered 100 times. Because 50% of them are from me.
Yeah, the UI just screams EverQuest, and I just love it. I do.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, like the character screen.
Yes.
Oh god, that brings back so many memories.
Even the spell book. Memorizing your spells. I don't know how many times I did that.
Yep. So next question, the fun question: if you could spend a day with a single person at VR, who would it be and why?
You go ahead.
Oh.
You go first, and then I'll go next. Yeah, that's
okay.
what happens. No, wait. It's an even number. I'll do it. We went even odds. That's how we did it. So we remember, and then I mess up at question 18. I would spend the day with Kilson. I've had a lot of interaction with him with, seeing about what kind of permissions I needed for the podcast, what sounds I could use, what images I could use. I tried to get Brad's cell phone number. That fell through. But yeah, that's what I'd spend the day with, just to see what he had to do, what he does all day. I've never been a big forum person. I mean, I'll jump in here and there. It'll be scattered, you'll see my name sprinkled, off and on, but I'm never in like huge discussion threads. You might see me on our Reddit every once in a while. But I would like to see what he does all day.
It's definitely insane, the amount of interaction that he does have. He's all over the place in those forums, and he's got his real life and a real job to deal with as well during the day. It is definitely he's one of the most. I don't know how to say it, but for him being a community manager, he is definitely on the top of the list as being one of the best that I've ever been in contact with.
Now,
he's got. Go ahead.
I got an idea for you, VR. Take some of your most prominent members, heck, even some of the ones that we don't know about, and just do a day in the life of. Just little videos, like 5 minutes. Let your fans know how much work is going into this thing, and just to show people that there's more than just the game that you have to deal with. I'd watch it.
Oh yeah, I would too. If they put that in the forums, you just click through videos, see what, who's doing what they're working on, if what they can say they're working on, I guess.
Right, yeah. No secret reveals or anything.
Another thing with Kilson, for his job being so tough is, he's got to jump on anything that's bad, right away, because as soon as because there's so many trolls. There's so many people that want to run their mouth and be internet tough, and just to cause problems. He's got to be there right then and there, ban them, and everything else. So that's definitely got to be a tough job.
Yeah, you almost got to be like a surgeon on the forums.
Pretty much.
You go too far, and your patient ends up bleeding out.
I actually would mind going with any of the artists. I'd like to see them just work for a day, whether it's drawing, sculpting, or just even doing the CAD work, whatever it is they're using, drawing. Just that's always kind of fascinated me, I guess. So just to see the game come to light through art.
On that note, though, I'm probably going to slaughter his name, Montresor, or whatever.
Yep,
I just call him
on Twitter. Yeah, I follow him on Twitter.
On Twitch. He has done a couple streams. He hasn't worked on Pantheon, but he's done 3D modeling stuff, and it is fascinating to watch.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
No. I'll have to check that. I haven't seen it. I don't get much chance to go on for like Twitch or anything like that, so I'll definitely try to look out for it.
Hey, Monty, kickbacks. Just saying. Oh.
Okay.
You're up here, Noah.
Huh?
You're on 19.
I know. I'm just messing about with you. I don't know if you see it on the stream yet.
No. Oh, you bugger.
Oh. I see it now. That's great. It's great.
So, did Bell answer the question though? I heard Bones say he wants to spend with Kilsin.
Yep.
Okay, I was distracted there
Yep.
with a bit of fun here. So are you main for game or are you an altaholic?
I'm more of a main. I'll stick with the main as far as I can, but then I may stray off to an alt here or there. But mostly I like to try to stick to one tune. I do get bored quite frequently though, so I may pop on an alt for like a half hour for whatever, and I'm like, yeah, screw this, go back to my main, call it good.
All right, so this is my AA for MMOs. Hi, I'm Bone. I'm an altaholic. I have a huge problem with jumping from tune to tune because I'll get an itch and I want to be the wizard, or I want to tank, or I want to heal. I've done it. I've done everything, every class in every MMO. I always try out everything, and then I'll stick with something for a while, and then I'll jump back to my wizard or whatever. But with Pantheon, in our episode 0, when we talked about ourselves, I'm gonna try to main the best I can. I want to max somebody out before I make another alt.
Good luck
So
with that.
it's gonna be tough, you know. Especially if I make a bunch of characters with, you know, my names I want to save, my save pieces. I might want to pull one out.
Alright.
So, what is your guild preference?
I'm really into a more of a casual type guild with kind of an emphasis on rating. I don't want to be in a hardcore guild where you feel stressed out that you have to participate so much that it takes the fun out of the raid. You know, raids are awesome. If you've never been in a raid, they're they're like a dungeon on steroids. And usually there's a lot more people than, you know, your regular 6. I don't know what they're going to have for a rating size. I did the 40 man in World of Warcraft. I've done 25 mans. I've done 5 mans, you know. I want progressive rating. I don't really care to rush through it so much, you know. And I also don't want to be carried through. You know, I want to pull my own weight when it comes to the, you know, doing the rating. So that's kind of, we had one of our things on our podcast. We have a guild shout out, and we had the Divine Council. You know, they messaged us and gave us a little feedback. Now those guys are serious business. They have tons of VIPs. What's the one down from VIPs? The champions, right? Is that right underneath the VIPs? So. The 250s to the 500s. But they're really dedicated to being one of the number 1 guilds in Pantheon, and that's pretty impressive. I mean, I don't have the time to put in, so I would feel like, you know, I was taking up a spot if I were to join a guild like that.
Holding them back.
Yeah.
Oh, I hear you. I'm kind of in the same boat. Just don't have the time for hardcore anymore.
Right.
I'm too old for that shit.
There it is, the old again. The old.
I'm sorry, I can't do another 72-hour raid where your raid group's going shifts. No, thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
So, what other interests outside of gaming do you guys have?
I golf. I like to golf. That's a good way to get your mind off from things. Just to go out with some buddies, hit the little white ball around the course, call it good for the day. And then in the wintertime, I like to try to snowboard. And then just spend time with the family and stuff like that.
I'm too fat and lazy to exercise, so I do have that excellent gamer body. I still implement some gaming in when I'm spending time with my family, but now with the Switch, we've been playing Tetris, Puyo Puyo Tetris. It's a little mixture of Tetris and Puyo Puyo. You'd have to Google that and check that out at a later date. And there's also, I don't know if you've ever heard of You Don't Know Jack games.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, so I don't know if they've had this before or it's just new with this iteration. But you can use like your cell phone and for your controller. So the other night we had about 8 people playing the game, and I didn't have to pass around controllers. Everybody used just their cell phones and implemented their answers that way, and I thought that was pretty awesome. And that's pretty much what I do when I'm spending time with my family. We do that. We'll watch movies. We'll hang out. We'll go do stuff. And that's about what I do.
Not a bad way to spend your time.
No, when my family and I hang out, we typically like to try to go out. We like going out to like all the old forts and stuff like that. Just getting out, just trying to get outdoors. Whether it's the beach, forts, little walking trails, stuff like that. So.
Oh yeah. So when it comes to longer gaming sessions, do you guys have any type of ritual? And if you do, care to share?
Go ahead.
Okay. Maybe take a power nap and then just stock up on a bunch of crap food. Gotta get my Skittles, gotta get my Sour Patch Kids, that good stuff.
Yeah, I stock up on snacks and drinks. And, it's just one of those things that I just prepare it so I know I'm ready to go. And I'll have a little snack here and there, drink, and just sometimes it's an adult beverage. Sometimes it's not. Depends on, how early I work the next day or if I work the next day, if there'll be adult beverages involved.
Coffee.
But
Coffee.
Belthound's big into coffee. I usually only drink coffee in the morning. I don't drink it at night that much unless I know I'm going to be staying up, like working on the podcast, like editing. We might record for an hour and then it'll end up taking 3 to 4 hours to edit an hour worth of audio because you're cutting out ums and ands and dead space and make us sound a lot more intelligent than we were when we actually spoke. I don't mind it, but just sometimes it can become tedious.
So that's the advantage that you have doing a podcast. We can't edit squat.
Right, yeah.
I accidentally drop an F-bomb. I have to sit there and go, I am so sorry.
Yeah, you guys, you guys are live to hard drive, they call it, And I think eventually we might get there. One of the main reasons I try to keep it PG as much as I can is because when I'm driving around, I can't listen to podcasts with a lot of swearing in it. So I kind of wanted it to be because I listen to each one of our podcasts at least 3 to 4 times before I put it out on the internet, because I want to make sure it sounds right, make sure I didn't miss a swear word, make sure I didn't miss any crap. And I just want to make it sure it's perfect before it hits the internet.
So that's dedication.
Yeah.
That's why I always tell people, it's like, you're part of the VoT? Yeah. So what do you do? I run my mouth. Darnella does everything. So we're going to have the final and most important question. Who is the VoT host with the most?
We had a long discussion about this. And you can go ahead and tell them, Belthound.
Yarnilla?
Oh, you guys. You're
Sorry.
horrible.
Cake.
No one ever picks me.
Yarnilla's wife, she made the cake.
It's the cake. There you go. My wife.
It's the cake.
My wife
When
is
there's
the
cake,
host with the most.
Yep,
When
we
there's
picked his
cake,
wife to
I'm
be the
there.
host of the most because she made a kick-ass cake. And
I
we
make
can't.
cake.
Hey,
Burn the
I
house
have 2 kids. I can't have favorites, even though I might have a favorite once in a while. Depends on if they're good or not.
down.
But
People in chat, you're all horrible.
For me, if there's cake involved, I'm there. I'm the fat guy trapped in a skinny body with high metabolism. Sweets, man, sweets.
So
Wherever there's sweets.
so I'm diabetic, so I can't have sweets. So looking at it, I can remember what cake used to taste like, but that's about it. And she did an awesome job on the cake, man. She did.
Yeah, definitely.
I will gladly bow out of the competition because of the cake, because it was a fabulous job.
Right, so before we get into the final words for VR, we're now going to give chat. Now this is an attack on you two. We'll give chat now the chance to write down or ask 3 questions to these guys, and while you go and write your questions, we'll give you a few minutes to jot your questions towards these two. Lex will pick out 3 random questions in a minute, and we're going to bring up their website as well to show you, obviously. So this is the Pantheon Times website where all the podcasts are. I'm going to go and link the link in chat to you. So this is where you can go to catch them on the internet. They have currently 5 episodes on there, including episode 0 being the introduction, I think.
Yep.
So there's how often, how frequent do you guys do a show?
We usually do it every 2 weeks. We actually should have had one go out last night. We're gonna put out on our feeds and everything that we did this this interview and stuff like that, but we're gonna wait until at least Tuesday night to watch the next stream, and then just lump everything together, both streams, this and our regular podcast, all in one massive podcast.
Yeah, between this, the streams, and stuff going on in personal life with work and stuff like that, we just weren't able to do one this week. But every 2 weeks, we definitely try to shoot. Usually, Wednesday or Thursday or whatever it is, we try to record.
We try to record, and then it's usually up on a Sunday night. So then you can either, if you work 3rd shift Sunday night, you'll have it with you. If you wake up bright and early Monday morning, you'll be able to download it and listen to it on the way to work or during work.
Nice.
Or when you're working out getting swole.
So it looks like chat isn't playing along.
No question.
That just means we got all the questions they had.
Yep, it means we did a good job.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Whoa.
I never do a good job.
See, I told you. Troll alert.
Not a troll, I'm a scar. You're right.
So we have actually 2 questions. One's more fun. Since Lex didn't pick them up. What is the meaning of life? This is from Novelle Efane. I hope I'm not slaughtering your name.
The meaning of life. As far as I'm concerned, is be who you are. Don't be fake. Never try to be somebody that you're not. Always give 100% in anything you do. That's been my motto. If people don't like who you are, F them. That's the way it is in my life.
That's tough to beat. Let's see, the meaning of life.
You need to figure out something prophetic and just mind-blowingly, life-alteringly cool.
You can Google it real quick too. That's the good thing about sitting in front of your computer.
Yeah. Basically, let's see. Never quit. Just keep going. Keep going through the hard times. There's always light at the end of the end of the tunnel. And always listen to your wife. She's right a lot of the time.
Well, there's a reason they say happy wife, happy life.
That's right.
Yeah, they do say that, and that's pretty correct.
Yep.
I'm sorry, fellas. You're going to learn pretty quick. You was wrong.
So, next question. This is from Sintro7. How do you guys feel about the Living Codex 3 modification slots? Spell amplification in Climax, spell resilience to Climax, and spell synergy.
complex, man.
You know, it kind of goes along with just the, acclamation stuff, anything extra that you can do to, how they were saying that you can have, your head slap be for against wind and your chest be against cold. Well, you might have a spell that also increases against cold. So then you won't have to have another thing that's cold, and you can have another wind spot. That's pretty neat.
We got one more question.
Yep, and that's gonna be from. Oh,
yep.
you got one?
Yep, from Larry Fowler. Sorry if I mispronounce it. I don't English well. What was something in
I
EverQuest?
kill people's names all the time.
Yeah. What was something in EverQuest or Vanguard that you haven't seen or heard in Pantheon that you would like to see brought to the game?
Well, since I haven't seen it, I would like to see a wizard that was teleporting people, and or it in the spell book. Are they going to have single ports? Are they going to have group ports? How are they going to do it? And that's one thing I want to see.
I
never played Vanguard, so I'm sorry. I don't know anything about Vanguard.
I can't answer that question. I've never really played EverQuest. I played a very, very small amount of EverQuest 2, and I've never played Vanguard either. I know you guys can bash me all you want.
Hey, not all perfect.
Right. So.
All right. So this brings us then to your final words for VR.
Okay.
You can go ahead and rock this.
Yeah,
one.
I'll say this since I can't really answer that last question. Stick with your vision and don't stray from it. Don't let all these guys out there try to influence what you're shooting for. We don't want all those kiddies out there. Sorry, trying to make the game easier to appeal to their play style. Stick with what you're going for. Basically, is kind of what we're going for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we don't want you to stray because that'll give you, a couple more people that'll subscribe to your game. We want you to stick with it, and stick with your vision. That's like big time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't want to see what we're watching in stream now. Then when the game goes live, it's a completely different game because, somebody twisted your arm or whatever and made you do it a different way.
Yeah. Well, I know. On that note, in almost every major MMO to date, you can see through the expansions when they lost their way.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And
exactly.
I know money is a strong, arm twister. I understand that, and I understand you need money to make a game. But I just don't want an outside influence to ruin this game because this game looks awesome already. I can't wait to play it. I can't wait till Tuesday to see them go in that tower. I'm really excited to see what's inside that tower. The part where they're pulling those mobs out of that little fort with the two towers, that really brought me back to EverQuest and actually pulling mobs. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I was pretty excited when I saw that.
Nicely
Yeah.
said. So before we wrap this up, as you already seen in chat, Martini will be hosting a show tomorrow, hosting the stream. You're welcome to join her, and we will be live tomorrow as well, right after the stream. And it says already, to be safe, 4 p.m.ish Eastern time. So we'll be streaming the post-stream coverage, part 2 for the second stream. Do you know,
are they gonna start at the same time as they did on Thursday?
Yes.
Okay.
Which means I won't watch.
We will be back again on Thursday for our regular streaming, and we'll be talking about acclamation. Since it's fairly fresh, fairly new, we decided to pick that one up and get ahead of it before time. So with that, guys, thanks for doing this with us. It was a pleasure
Thank you
having
for
you
having
here.
us.
Thank you for having
Thank
us,
you.
definitely.
We hope you folks enjoyed it, and hopefully we'll see a lot more people come onto the show and do interviews like this with us in the future. And we will see you all tomorrow.
We'll have you guys on our show too.
Awesome.
In the near future.
Cool.
Tomorrow at 11 PDT, 11 a.m. PDT is the second showing of the stream from VR, where they go into the Reckless Magician's Tower. So excited to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And then right after that, we will be on. And then it will be Thursday. So with that, guys, have a great night. Bone, Belthound, thanks for joining us. Lex.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're a troll as always.
Tell me how I was trolling. Come on.
Thanks for being there, Lex. Doing this, going out your way. You're awesome, dude.
I appreciate the sentiment, but I'm not.
So with that,
I'm
guys,
just a dude talking about a game.
good
That's it.
night.
Good night.
Good night.
Be safe, everybody.